Hi everyone, I'm Ben from Freemius. Before we dive into talking about refund policies, here's a surprise question. How much cash do you have on you right now? Without reading your mind, I can guess that most of you usually use your credit card or PayPal account for most of your payments, and that you probably don't hide all of your money inside your mattress. Unlike physical goods, WordPress plugins and themes are virtual, and returning digital goods works a little differently than the physical world and has its pros and cons. So, this is the time to plug in. Before we get started, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel for future videos. If you're watching this directly on YouTube, you can click the alert icon for notifications about new releases. Like buying any other product, customers who want to buy plugins or themes need to feel a sense of security before investing the money. They want to make sure your product is the right one for them. One of the biggest advantages of having a refund policy is creating this feeling of security in customers who know that if it is not a good fit, they can get their money back. If you think about a no questions asked full refund policy, you realize that it resembles offering a free trial with a payment method. To learn more about trials, click the link to my trials videos in the description below. Basically, a no questions asked money back guarantee can be a good incentive for customers because it can save them the time and hassle of opening a dispute or a chargeback if they decide to get a refund for a charge after the trial has expired. This means that having the right refund policy for your product can definitely boost your sales, and not having a refund policy may actually hurt your sales. What do I mean by the right refund policy? I'll get to it in a sec. Two last things to remember when offering any refund policy: you still want to avoid customer refunds. By setting a policy, it is mostly a way to set the right expectations with your customers and make them feel comfortable with your product. On the other hand, you don't want them to be too easy on the trigger and make them purchase while planning to get a refund. The confidence customers get from our transparent refund policy might also attract them to come back to your store and buy again. If you're convinced that having a refund policy will help increase sales, you are faced with the next question. What kind of policy should I offer? Well, a refund policy depends largely on how strict you want to make it, just like cancellation policies on many digital booking platforms, Airbnb for example. A strict refund policy in the WordPress ecosystem, which is quite popular, is generally used for giving refunds only if customers encounter a bug or other technical problem that relates to the product itself, which makes the product or the entire WordPress website unusable. In addition, the refund should happen only after all attempts at resolving the issue from your side have failed. This kind of policy gives you as a seller greater protection from an easy hand on the refund's trigger from the customer on one side, and it might make potential customers have second thoughts about buying it in the first place if they don't think it's right for them, saving everyone's time. A more moderate refund policy will allow refunds in additional cases where the product has technical issues related to third-party extensions, or when the product is not working as expected for the customer, including missing features that were advertised. The important thing to remember in this case is that the customer must provide a reasonable explanation for the refund request. Consider each request as objectively as possible and then decide if they are eligible for a refund or not. You might want to consider investing the time to try and fix the issue, but it all depends on its severity. In any case, make sure to communicate your decision to the customer thoroughly and with a positive attitude, to avoid disputes and chargebacks later on. The most flexible policy you can offer is the famous 100% guarantee no questions asked refund policy. This kind of loose policy is really good at attracting a lot of potential customers, since all a customer has to do to receive a refund is just ask for it within the agreed period, usually 7 or 14 days, with no explanation needed. However, even though customers don't have to provide an explanation, you can still ask them why they decided to cancel. This is a very important tip if you decide to go with this kind of policy. Saying yes to all refund requests put the customer in the very comfortable position of having an open communication channel with you for providing the reason for the cancellation. In many cases, customers asking for refunds are actually asking for support without even realizing it. This is your chance to try and offer a solution to the problem and maybe even a discount for premium features. You'll be surprised to see that in many cases, this can be a very good opportunity to turn around a refund request by just helping the customer with problems that are often easy to solve. The combination of feeling comfortable with the refund policy and having a good customer experience is the key to turning lemons into lemonade. If the customer's problem still can be solved and the refund is needed, at the very least you learned an important lesson on the usability of your product. So if you ask me, always keep communication channels open with your customers, and they might become paying customers on the spot or at some point in the future. The bottom line when it comes to refund policies is that the more strict your policy is, the more it will protect your revenue, but at the same time it'll be more difficult to attract new customers. Another option is to try and minimize refund requests by not having a public refund policy, but rather deal with each request individually. You might even consider not giving any refunds at all and deal with the fact that it might affect your conversion rates, repel potential customers, and make you deal with disputes and chargebacks. Although they have many advantages, refund policies are no magic trick for guaranteed sales. When thinking about a typical conversion funnel from a user's perspective, a free trial with a payment method is better than a money-back guarantee, because customers can first try the product before paying anything, which obviously feels more secure and comfortable. Then, if the customer decides to cancel a trial, they just go ahead and do it with a click of a button, which is not the case with refunds, when they need to actively ask for it. Again, not the end of the world, but still an important detail that can influence your conversion rate. This brings us to the conclusion that if you already offer a free trial for your plugin or theme, it doesn't make much sense to offer a lenient refund policy on top of that, since it basically serves the same purpose. This makes the refund policy redundant and might even lower your conversion rates. If you offer a free trial, you may consider providing refunds in really extreme circumstances where critical issues are discovered after the free trial period. But you can put that in your policy details. Another risk of allowing refunds, especially with themes, is that trolls can steal your product's capabilities by buying it and then continuing to use it or resell it after receiving a refund. It is an unlawful use of the General Public License, or GPL, that all WordPress plugins and themes are bound to, and the first response to this theft must be to immediately cancel the user's license and to restrict all access to premium features and software updates. We have a whole video that talks about coping with abusive GPL trolls. I'll add a link in the description. By the way, when selling with Freemius, canceling a license automatically blocks updates, and if you choose so, can also block premium features. In cases where you feel there's a fraudster behind the refund request, you can refuse to give one, but only if your refund policy is more strict than the no questions asked. If you have certain conditions for offering a refund, like when a product isn't working as expected with an explanation, or there's an advertised feature that is missing, or there's some technical malfunction, only then must you give the customer's money back. But the burden of proof is on them. If you build your WordPress product with care and attention to the finer details, it won't be easy for customers to prove any of the reasons for getting a refund with a policy that has specific conditions, and you'll have a strong case for rejecting a refund request. In any case, you should try to avoid getting into dispute and chargebacks from customers for a few reasons. First, even though the customer is not always right, a dispute can take a long time, might involve a lot of bureaucracy, and ultimately may even hurt your brand's reputation. Second, if you sell through PayPal, be advised that their seller protection program does not apply to digital goods. And third, chargebacks started by customers with their banks or credit card companies are notoriously known to end up in favor of the buyer. If you do end up in a chargeback situation, you can check out our video about techniques that can increase your winning rates by 740%. This was my 2 cents on refund policies in the WordPress plugin and theme ecosystem. I think that the main lesson to be learned here is that your product's refund policy needs to reflect the right balance between the need for your customer to feel secure and the need for your business to protect revenue and intellectual property. If you like this video and want to know more about how to better sell WordPress plugins and themes, subscribe to our YouTube channel and blog. See you next time! And returning digital goods works a little differently than the physical world, and don't have to provide an explanation, you can still ask, holy no. If you like this video and want to know more about how to better sell your product, blah 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 blah,